Hello, and thank you for listening to The Bo's Knows, a podcast about QI Roberts Junior Senior High School in Putnam County, Florida. I'm your host, Mr. Bose, and today we have our very first Ask Me Anything of, and our first group is going to be the math department. So welcome and thank you for joining me today. Please introduce yourselves to our listeners.
I'm Miss Spencer.
I'm Miss Knowles.
I'm Miss Wilson.
Thank you all for joining me. So podcasts all start out with the same couple of questions. First one being favorite subject or topic in school?
Math, of course.
Algebra and geometry.
Science.
Very good. So next question is, what is your favorite QI story or tradition?
I love the pep rallies.
I like the new pinning ceremony that we just started last year. I think that's going to be really good and motivating for the students.
I like that the students have a portion of Power Hour to join a club and do club commitments or get help that they need in a subject.
Very good. So last one before we get into some of the questions submitted by our students is quality, integrity, respect. Which one and why?
Definitely integrity. I think it's important for the students to learn that they need to do the right thing all the time, not just when they think it's expected.
The last time I was here, I also said integrity, and I'm going to stick with that. I think if students don't have integrity, then the quality of their work is lacking, and they can't earn the respect of their peers or their teachers.
Yeah, I'm going to also go with integrity for the students. That's right.
And I'll actually join in on that as well. I think integrity is important because you can have integrity and work hard and not be the perfect at everything, and then that's okay if that's the best you've got. So,
And I think they all go hand in hand. If you have integrity, you gain respect and the quality piece as well.
So, a couple I asked on Instagram for the students to submit questions, and we got a couple. So we'll start with those, and then we'll kind of branch out on some of the other ones that we've got for us this morning. So the first one that was submitted by a listener is, what is your least favorite part about teaching math?
My least favorite part about teaching math is that generally it's the students' least favorite subject because they can't connect it to how they will use it in real life.
I think my least favorite is the preconceptions that the students come with, that they're not good at math. Their parents weren't good at math. They don't like math. And it's hard to overcome it if they think that they're not good and they don't like it. They don't tend to try as hard.
My least favorite part is hearing them say they hate math or they're not good at math. And they've trained themselves to think because they're not good at it, they can't get better at it.
I think it's hard for students to have a growth mindset about math.
I think I would agree with all of you on the least favorite subject part. Like, it's hard to get accustomed to the expression, like, we like you, but, I've had students be like, we wish you taught any other class.
I get that a lot too. We love you, but we hate math.
So the next question is, I think they meant it to be a funny one, but I know we're all going to have a serious answer for this. Question that was submitted was, why do you push homework so much?
I think practice makes progress. If you want to get good at a sport, you have to practice and go to practice a few times a week after school. If you want to get good at a subject, you have to practice.
I agree. And just with the problems that we do in class, you're not seeing everything that you may see at another time. So you have to have different exposure to different types of problems in different settings and those types of things. So just the repeated practice of it makes you better at it.
I give that example to the students in class. I tell them if they want to be better at a sport, then they have to practice. And the classroom time is just not enough practice for them to get as good as they need. During that 45-minute time. So I tell them if they want to improve, they just have to practice, even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes. And I tell them it works better if it comes from them intrinsically.
I think oftentimes it's easy for us to complete something right after it's been modeled for us or introduced to us. But if given that time between the lesson and then when they get home for them to practice again, I think they have to think deeply about what they learned, and it's not just that automatic recall.
Yeah, I think, and we're not expecting our students to be experts, but kind of the expression that 10,000 hours is what it takes to be kind of a master of anything. And, not that our students are going to be masters of mathematics in university, but if 10,000 hours is a long time, and it's got to start. Start early. The other question that was submitted by our listeners is they kind of wanted to know what our story was and how we got into teaching.
My story is my first job ever when I was 15 was at a childcare center. And I just loved working with kids of all ages because we had anywhere from infants all the way through school-age kids through the after-school program. And I think I really developed my love for children and helping them learn. And so then I went to school and I got my bachelor's in early childhood education, and I taught pre-K outside of the school district for a very long time. And then I started teaching pre-K for the school district. And in doing that in an elementary school, I decided I wanted to branch out and teach upper grades. And so I started teaching fourth grade. After that, I went to a middle school, and then I decided I loved the middle school kids, and now I'm here. So I've just kind of grown throughout my career.
My story is I was a psychology major, and unless you're going to go on to doctorate in that field, you really can't. There's no exact career for a psychology major. You kind of just look around and see what's open and where you fit. So I was a customer service rep for a long time for a publishing company, which got me on college campuses. It seemed like my whole life I'd been involved in academia in some way. I was a admissions officer at FAU when I was in grad school there, so I was always involved in the academic setting. And then I was a stay-at-home mom for 5 years. And then when my son was ready to go to preschool, I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. And my aunt was like, you need to go be a teacher. So I subbed while he was in preschool, found out that I loved it, found out that second grade was right where I needed to be. All the light bulbs were coming on. They could have conversations with you. So I got hired at Middleton Burney as a second grade teacher the year that he started kindergarten. We moved from Jacksonville down there. I spent 13 years at Middleton Burney. Second grade, third grade, fourth grade, math coach, and then decided that I needed a change. So I followed Mr. Theobald to QI, did high school JFG. Then math has always been, when I was at Middleton Burney, I was a math coach. Math has always been where I love the teaching of it. So became a geometry teacher last year, and this year geometry and stats, and I love it.
I was a business major. I graduated from business school and was business minded. When my older children started school, it was difficult for me to let them go every day and not have them there at the house. It was time for them to go, so I was volunteering a lot in their classrooms. Teachers appreciated and needed quite a bit of help in the classroom, so I volunteered very often there to the point that they thought that I might just work at the school. So I went ahead and got certifications that were needed to become a teacher, and I started working as a teacher just because I became so involved in the classroom at my children's school at the time. So
That's great. It's interesting that actually all of the math teachers here at QI are all kind of second career or career change teachers. So my story, I have my bachelor's degree in theatrical engineering from Purdue University. Got a job after college working for SeaWorld, was a stagehand for SeaWorld. So that was kind of fun, but it was heat in Florida in August, and I said no thank you. Got a job working for the theater at UF. Worked there for 6 years, and then decided that I was getting too old to be up at midnight and sleep for 3 hours and be back at the theater by 6 o'clock the next morning to do it all over again. And kind of looked at what I could do, what I was interested in, and teaching was the thing, and teaching math was the thing. So UF paid for my master's degree, and then I landed a job here. And so I've been here teaching, started with algebra, found out that wasn't my thing, and just moved up and now teaching pre-calculus and AP calculus. So last question I have before we all have to go and get ready for the day is, so when we don't all have to answer this one, we can kind of chime in if you have anything, is like, what do you think, or how do you feel like math fits into the larger picture of learning, right? Like, it's easy for us to think like, oh, math is separate from everything else, but like, is it separate from everything else, or how does it fit into school and life outside of school?
I like to tell them that it connects to their critical thinking skills, their analyzing skills. They're probably so tired of hearing me say that to them. We error analyze everything. And I tell them that those skills will take them well beyond a math classroom. But I really think that the students will take that critical thinking, those spatial thinking skills, and when the word problems, the reading comprehension skills, and they don't know. And I mean, it doesn't matter how many times we tell them that this goes beyond the numbers. As teachers, we know it does, and it's building them in other ways, well beyond the classroom for math.
I think the problem solving and perseverance that they have to build, especially when they struggle with math, is something that will carry them further later. Because you don't always just run into easy problems in life. You have to think about, what do I know? Who do I know? Who can I call for help? And that's the same thing we do in math. What do I already know, and how can I use it to get to the next step? So I think those things, we teach it through math problems, but they're life lessons.
I agree completely. We have to teach them how to use their resources and how to struggle productively to have success. And those are life skills that go beyond academics.
Yeah. My personal story is programming. I had to take a programming class in college. I have never programmed anything ever since. I mean, not beyond like an Excel spreadsheet, but I haven't programmed in C since then. But the problem solving skills that class taught me made me a better math student, made me, a better problem solver. And I think, as we all have said, that's the skill of math. It's not like, can you add 2 + 2? It's like, do you realize that you have to add 2 + 2 or whatever?
I think it's important in the generation of instant gratification that we teach them the resilience, and that, you have to sometimes struggle through things, not just push a button.
Yeah. I tell my students that like everything is a Google search away, but you have to know what to do with what Google gives you. So, does anybody have any last minute thoughts for our listeners?
Keep growing. Never give up.
The great closing thoughts there. Thank you for being here, taking your morning. Listeners, if you like the podcast, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can catch future episodes, and be sure to give QI Roberts Student Government a follow on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on future episodes and happenings around QI. Our next one of these will be next month. We'll be sitting down with the English department. If you feel we've earned it, please rate and review us on your podcast player of choice and share with a friend. Thank you, Knights, and remember, excellence in all endeavors.
Keep growing. Never give up.